Hello everybody, I'm Eustace Pharmer, and I just wanted to give you a quick message before we start the video to let you know during the video you're going to hear two distinctive tones or sounds to my microphone audio. The reason for this is I previously owned a Kraken 7.1 version 2 headset, and although the listening quality, the audio quality was absolutely phenomenal, the microphone on it was not very good, and I had to do a lot of tweaking to get it to sound decent, and I think I did. Well, that microphone, or that headset, has since failed. I was taking it off, and the ear cups separated from the unit itself, the cushioning, and it can't be put back together. So I had a 2-year warranty at Best Buy. I went down. They happily exchanged it for me, and I had to get the next model up, which you think that would be good, but it's terrible. The audio quality coming back is not very good at all, and the microphone quality is horrendous in my opinion. Again, I've had to do a lot of mixing and tweaking within Adobe to even get it to sound even this decent, but I plan on rectifying this issue once and for all as soon as I can afford to. I'm going to be purchasing a Blue Yeti microphone and boom stand, and I'm hoping that that will go ahead and settle this once and for all. But until then, I just wanted to explain why you're going to hear two different distinct sounds to my voice, so I do apologize in advance. I still hope you'll enjoy the show. That being said, let's go have a visit with Oliver. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Dusty Cove, Episode 8, here on Blackmore Farm. Just digging around through the back of my truck here as I lost my glasses while digging around for a spanner to fix the sink in the house. Ah, there we go. Close that up. There we are. Alright, so now we can get started here. So we have another busy day ahead of us. And we won't be spending any time here on the main farm, but we will certainly be doing some farm work of sorts where we're going. So I'm going to show you what I've been keeping from you up to this point on David's Mountain. But firstly, we have to grab Grandfather's old fifth-wheel truck and take the trailer back to town. If it's not one thing, it's another. I had a delivery up on the mountain, but the driver refused to sit and wait for me there. The only way I could get him to deliver up there was to agree to bring the empty trailer back to town for him. And I'll explain why as we get further into the video. Again, I feel the whole thing is silly as to why he and others won't go up there on this mountain. It's just a bunch of silly rubbish if you ask me. So we had another Massey Ferguson tipper trailer, just like that one back there, only it was a smaller capacity trailer. And we got rid of that one and we kept this one because we made an additional purchase that is going to more than replace it. I still feel that this one will come in handy and everything is in good working order on it, unlike the smaller one. The axle bearings were starting to seize up on it, and it was a good time to let it go, unfortunately. And then, of course, we're going to keep the large Coeco, and it's full of potatoes, and we need to sell those off because they're going to start to turn soon. We've already planted our potato fields, and we can use some of that the next time around to replant. So these need to go. So anyway, let's get back to the tractor. It started smoking, and a small fire started in the cab not long after we set off. It turned out to be faulty wiring. Now, the twist to all this is I had a local dealership mechanic come out to inspect the tractor before I purchased it. The owner had signed off that the tractor was in excellent condition overall, and he mentioned nothing about anything to do with the wiring, which, okay, I can understand. Unfortunately, this fire didn't happen during the inspection. It turned over just fine when I did it, of course. The mechanic looked in the recent sales records for me and found that the owner indeed purchased a wiring harness through the dealership, and against the dealer's advice, he installed it himself. And of course, he jerry-rigged it like a teenager putting in an aftermarket car stereo. Given the situation, I gave the owner a chance to make good on this and refund my money and take the tractor back. He readily agreed as he didn't want any of the authorities involved. Now, as a silver lining to all this, I was having a chat with Sir Reefington to get some advice on how to handle this situation when it occurred. He's very savvy when it comes to legal disputes and so forth. He had told me that he knows this chap that has an old John Deere 4955. Original paint job, just a few thousand hours on it. It's in great condition and it's more powerful than the hunk of junk that I had just purchased. Sir Reefington made a call, and before you know it, I was the proud owner of the tractor, and I paid exactly what I paid for the other tinderbox. And this one runs like a champ, I have to report. All is well, that ends well. And just around the corner over here is the newest member of our family. This is replacing the Massey Ferguson tipper, just waiting to have it painted up and branded. And then right over here we have a little flatbed trailer, and we're going to be using this on the back of the tanker truck because it has the hook and arm, so it's multi-purpose. And we're going to be helping out the Texaco station in town as they're having a hard time keeping up with the towing and recovery portion of their business, and it's a little bit of a financial burden to maintain that truck when it sits most of the time. So being that we already have a truck, we're happy to help them out and make a few extra bucks on the side. Why not? And then here's our new tanker truck with a tandem trailer attached to that, just waiting to be delivered and put into service. And strolling through the garage here, step over these lifts without breaking my neck, we have our new telehandler, and it's a New Holland, and we had it painted in our company color and branded with our signage. So looking forward to getting that up on the mountain today as well. And I won't be showing much of that because we have a lot of work to get to, and I would rather share that portion of the video with you. But to start things off, I'm going to go ahead and wait for Alfie to meet me down here. He's going to help me with one of the trucks to get that tanker truck up to the mountain. So once Alfie gets here and we get underway, I'll get back to you. See you in a minute. All right, so let's go ahead and get started on the meat of the story here. In episode 7, we were chatting about why the sawmill failed and why they were so overly generous to their employees, if you recall. If you don't know what I'm talking about, at the end of the video, there'll be a little icon that comes up on the screen, and you can tap on the playlist or the video and go watch it. But anyway, they used to house employees up there on the mountain adjacent to the mill. They lived there in small groups of 4 to 6 employees, sometimes up to 12, and in shifts of 2 weeks at a time. Many have claimed to have seen and been bothered by a quote-unquote spirit. The supposed spirit was a man who settled in this town many hundreds of years ago. He had a small piece of farmland and a little house on there. The townspeople got suspicious of him as he didn't attend church at all. He kept to himself mostly and didn't really bother much with people. The church, in their suspicious nature, sent some representatives to have a look around and chat with the man. They alleged they found evidence of druid practices. They caused quite a stir among the villagers, claiming he's a sorcerer and loads of other untrue rubbish. Let me just send Alfie on his way here. Anyway, the people essentially at that point were bent on running him out of town. He had no money and no place to go, and he suffered from a terrible case of gout. So he built himself a modest little stone house up on the mountain away from the grips of the villagers. He had enough space to keep a small garden of vegetables, and there was plenty of wildlife up there to keep hunger pangs at bay for a while. Wood from the trees he can cut down kept him warm through those cold winter nights. So while I'm standing here watching the water tank fill up, why don't I show you what we got cooking around the corner here? So that's the board mill over there. I'll show you that in a minute. But this little facility here is where the boards are going to go. They're going to be supplying Alfie with his new beekeeping carpentry shop here. So he's going to keep us in bees and honey. So we contacted the owner of this property, being that it's been sitting vacant for so long due to all these strange circumstances, and we offered him a little bit of a bargain. We basically said, if he'll allow us to build these 2 facilities here and operate out of here, that for every tree that we cut down up on his mountain, we will replant 2. In addition to that, we told him that we would be happy to give him something out of the profits, if any, from this beekeeping endeavor. So this lit up another candle, and in turn, it caused a chain reaction lighting several more candles. Dusty Cove sales decided the honey business could be profitable and wanted a piece of this potential. They approached a nearby dairy to invest in a small facility to make honey milk down on their property. So Alfie will be able to sell honey to the locals and online, as well as to the honey milk factory, and another place we didn't count on, the snack hut down by the Castle Park. They sell cheap souvenirs and breakfast and lunch items for tourists that visit the park. They will not only buy honey in jars from Alfie and use it to make their baked goods and sell outright in the jars, but they'll also buy some of the honey milk from the honey milk factory. And again, they'll sell it to drink straight up, and they'll use it in their baked goods. Now, who's providing the milk for the honey milk, you might ask? Well, that would be me. The large dairy that they contacted would like my farm to be in charge of the cattle for this endeavor, so they're going to be shipping down some cattle for us to feed and maintain and deliver the milk to the honey milk factory, and a portion of it back to them, of course, for their own sales. Oh, and as for Alfie and Janie, they're quite the happy couple now. Janie even talks about using Alfie's bees to pollinate her crops and even my greenhouse plants. So isn't it nice when something good actually comes back full circle to bite you? It's amazing how one awesome thing can lead to another, and maybe in ways that you never could have dreamed of before. All right, so while we're in here, I'll show you the 4955 that we picked up, courtesy of Sir Reefington. Thank you very much again, Sir Michael. And it's in really good shape, as you see. I'm really looking forward to using it. We've given it a little bit of a test spin and got the tires dirty. It performed very well. And you can also see the trees that are making their way in between the cracks and crevices of the roof in the building. So there's going to be some little bit of tree cutting in the future to clear away some of this problem. All right, so what I think we'll do next is I'll give you a quick tour of the compound, and then I'm going to hightail it back to town, return that manure trailer, and grab the telehandler so we can get down to some good old-fashioned work here. And then after that, I'll go ahead and pick up where we left off on the story down at the sawmill, and I'll show you where this gentleman used to reside. So back at you in a few. Where is the largest farm in the world? Well, according to worldatlas.com, it's in Heilongjiang, China. It's the Mudanjiang City Mega Farm at 22,500,000 acres. But what's even more staggering is look at the next 8 down on the list. They're all in one place, on one continent, in one country. That's Australia. That's even more impressive than the top 2. Not too darn bad, Australia, huh? You went from a penal colony to a paradise, and well fed along the way. Congratulations. All right, so I think the easiest thing to do is bring up a dynamic map that I made. We're standing right where that white arrow is. And I'm going to go from the right down and double back to the cabin's utility shed mess hall. All right, so we're gliding by our red cabbage. Coming up here is our shrooms. And here's our lemons. And our strawberries. And then our tomatoes. And then lastly, our melons. Now this over here is what the villagers assumed at the time was a makeshift altar that they accused this man of making. Now to me, it kind of just looks like, you know, the ground heaving up over time, or maybe an ancient glacier kind of heaved rocks up in all kind of different positions and so forth. So there's the utility shed. And then these are the workers' quarters, the little cabins. I like that one on the end because you get a view of the sunset right through those trees there. And then here's the mess hall where they get 3 squares a day and 2 snacks. So to finish off our story about this man, despite having the wood to burn, the veg gardens, and good hunting, sadly he didn't last too long up here, as it was thought that he succumbed to pneumonia a couple of years later. He most likely contracted pneumonia due to his lack of movement caused by his terrible gout. A couple of villagers were up hunting here back then and came across his home and what was left to him inside. Holding true to their biblical teachings at the time, they buried the man, even though they didn't hold high regard for him, being that they thought he was a sorcerer and all, and they didn't engrave his headstone as they believed it would pay homage to a demon and its practices, and would curse the land of evil for eternity. So, I guess the man roams this hill, according to legend, and it's said that he scares off anyone that comes on the mountain, as he was exiled from town and everything taken away from him, and he won't let his land or his possessions be taken from him again. With this legend in mind, it's no wonder that the logging men thought they experienced things here. I still maintain that there's no such thing as ghosts, and I'm not bothered by any legend, and I'm happy to put my greenhouses here. But as a moral to the story to wrap up both of these series, not only should you take good care of yourself, but do a nice deed for the person standing next to you sometimes. What you do today can come back to haunt you tomorrow. So please take great care of yourself, okay? And someone else. And bye-bye for now. So we had another Massey Ferguson